Their once harmonious partnership was tested by the pressures of their professions and the complexities of their personal lives. The cracks in their relationship were subtle at first, but as time went on, they became more pronounced. Sandra's dedication to her craft and John's commitment to his career created a dynamic where both were constantly on the move, often finding themselves drifting apart. The balance they had once enjoyed began to falter, and the emotional distance between them grew. The challenges they faced were not just about their professions, but also about the underlying issues that had begun to surface in their marriage. As Sandra and John navigated the complexities of their careers and personal lives, their relationship was put to the test. The pressures of their professional successes and the demands of their family life began to take a toll on their marriage, setting the stage for the challenges that lay ahead. The equilibrium that had once defined their partnership was shifting, and the future of their relationship became uncertain. The smooth facade of Sandra and John's life began to crack under the strain of unspoken grievances and mounting pressures. Their seemingly perfect marriage, characterized by a harmonious blend of Sandra's creative spirit and John's financial acumen, was slowly unraveling. It began with subtle signs, missed anniversaries, curt exchanges, and a growing emotional distance that neither seemed able to address. These were the early indicators of a deeper malaise that neither Sandra nor John fully grasped at the time. Sandra had always been a devoted wife and mother, dedicating herself to her family and career with equal fervor. Her days were filled with the vibrant chaos of fashion shows, client meetings, and the relentless pursuit of creativity. Despite her success, Sandra found solace in the routine of family life. Her evenings spent cooking meals for John and Love, and the weekends devoted to family outings and quality time. However, as her career demands increased, she found herself spending more time away from home, which inadvertently contributed to the growing distance between her and John. John, on the other hand, was immersed in the world of banking, where his professional life demanded meticulous attention to detail and strategic decision-making. His role involved long hours, high-stakes meetings, and the constant pressure of managing significant financial portfolios. The stress from his job began to seep into his interactions at home, leaving him increasingly irritable and detached. John's commitment to his career, while crucial for their financial stability, was creating a chasm in his relationship with Sandra. The turning point came when Sandra discovered John's infidelity. The affair was not a sudden revelation, but rather the culmination of a series of events that had been building up over time. Sandra had sensed a shift in John's behavior. His late nights at work became more frequent, and his phone was increasingly guarded. There were unexplained absences and a lack of interest in family activities that had once been a source of joy for both of them. Sandra's suspicions grew, but she struggled to confront them, fearing the disruption it might bring. The truth came to light in a particularly painful way. Sandra had been invited to a gathering at one of John's work-related events, an occasion she had hoped would allow them to reconnect. It was there that she saw John with Ruthie, a strikingly beautiful colleague who had recently joined his team. Ruthie's presence was magnetic, and her interaction with John was noticeably intimate. It was clear to Sandra that their relationship extended beyond mere professionalism. Ruthie was a woman of contrasts. Her beauty was undeniable, with a radiant charm that drew people to her. She was known for her exceptional culinary skills, which she used to host elaborate gatherings and make connections within her social and professional circles. Ruthie's life was complicated by her status as a single mother, balancing the demands of parenthood with her career aspirations. Yet beneath the veneer of her captivating exterior lay a more calculating nature. Ruthie was adept at leveraging her personal qualities to her advantage. As Sandra observed the interaction between John and Ruthie, a wave of emotions surged within her: anger, betrayal, and profound sadness. The realization that John had been unfaithful was a blow that shattered her sense of security and trust. The affair with Ruthie was not just an act of infidelity. It was a deep-seated breach of the emotional bond that Sandra had cherished. It became apparent that John's affection for Ruthie was not merely a fleeting distraction, but a serious relationship that had been nurtured over time. Their once harmonious partnership was tested by the pressures of their professions and the complexities of their personal lives. The cracks in their relationship were subtle at first, but as time went on, they became more pronounced. Sandra's dedication to her craft and John's commitment to his career created a dynamic where both were constantly on the move, often finding themselves drifting apart. The balance they had once enjoyed began to falter, and the emotional distance between them grew. The challenges they faced were not just about their professions, but also about the underlying issues that had begun to surface in their marriage. As Sandra and John navigated the complexities of their careers and personal lives, their relationship was put to the test. The pressures of their professional successes and the demands of their family life began to take a toll on their marriage, setting the stage for the challenges that lay ahead. The equilibrium that had once defined their partnership was shifting, and the future of their relationship became uncertain. The smooth facade of Sandra and John's life began to crack under the strain of unspoken grievances and mounting pressures. Their seemingly perfect marriage, characterized by a harmonious blend of Sandra's creative spirit and John's financial acumen, was slowly unraveling. It began with subtle signs, missed anniversaries, curt exchanges, and a growing emotional distance that neither seemed able to address. These were the early indicators of a deeper malaise that neither Sandra nor John fully grasped at the time. Sandra had always been a devoted wife and mother, dedicating herself to her family and career with equal fervor. Her days were filled with the vibrant chaos of fashion shows, client meetings, and the relentless pursuit of creativity. Despite her success, Sandra found solace in the routine of family life. Her evenings spent cooking meals for John and Love, and the weekends devoted to family outings and quality time. However, as her career demands increased, she found herself spending more time away from home, which inadvertently contributed to the growing distance between her and John. John, on the other hand, was immersed in the world of banking, where his professional life demanded meticulous attention to detail and strategic decision-making. His role involved long hours, high-stakes meetings, and the constant pressure of managing significant financial portfolios. The stress from his job began to seep into his interactions at home, leaving him increasingly irritable and detached. John's commitment to his career, while crucial for their financial stability, was creating a chasm in his relationship with Sandra. The turning point came when Sandra discovered John's infidelity. The affair was not a sudden revelation, but rather the culmination of a series of events that had been building up over time. Sandra had sensed a shift in John's behavior. His late nights at work became more frequent, and his phone was increasingly guarded. There were unexplained absences and a lack of interest in family activities that had once been a source of joy for both of them. Sandra's suspicions grew, but she struggled to confront them, fearing the disruption it might bring. The truth came to light in a particularly painful way. Sandra had been invited to a gathering at one of John's work-related events, an occasion she had hoped would allow them to reconnect. It was there that she saw John with Ruthie, a strikingly beautiful colleague who had recently joined his team. Ruthie's presence was magnetic, and her interaction with John was noticeably intimate. It was clear to Sandra that their relationship extended beyond mere professionalism. Ruthie was a woman of contrasts. Her beauty was undeniable, with a radiant charm that drew people to her. She was known for her exceptional culinary skills, which she used to host elaborate gatherings and make connections within her social and professional circles. Ruthie's life was complicated by her status as a single mother, balancing the demands of parenthood with her career aspirations. Yet beneath the veneer of her captivating exterior lay a more calculating nature. Ruthie was adept at leveraging her personal qualities to her advantage. As Sandra observed the interaction between John and Ruthie, a wave of emotions surged within her: anger, betrayal, and profound sadness. The realization that John had been unfaithful was a blow that shattered her sense of security and trust. The affair with Ruthie was not just an act of infidelity. It was a deep-seated breach of the emotional bond that Sandra had cherished. it became apparent that John's affection for Ruthie was not merely a fleeting distraction, but a serious relationship that had been nurtured over time. Confronting John about the affair was one of the hardest moments in Sandra's life. Their confrontation was filled with raw emotion. Sandra's voice trembled with hurt as she expressed her feelings, while John's responses were marked by a mix of guilt and defensiveness. The conversation was a painful dissection of their marriage's failings and the ways in which they had drifted apart. John admitted to the affair, acknowledging the emotional connection he had developed with Ruthie, but struggling to justify his actions. The fallout from the revelation was immediate and devastating. The home that had once been a sanctuary for Sandra and love was now a battleground of unresolved conflicts and painful truths. The atmosphere was charged with tension, and the emotional wounds were raw and exposed. Sandra's sense of betrayal was compounded by the fact that John's infidelity had not only affected their relationship, but had also disrupted their family life. The aftermath of the affair forced Sandra to reassess her priorities and confront the reality of her situation. The love she had once felt for John was now entangled with feelings of hurt and disillusionment. The family dynamics were strained, and the stability they had once enjoyed was now in jeopardy. Sandra found herself grappling with the decision of whether to repair their fractured relationship or to move forward on her own. As Sandra and John navigated the complexities of their personal crisis, the impact on their daughter, Love, became increasingly apparent. Love, who had always been the center of their lives, was caught in the crossfire of their marital troubles. The emotional upheaval affected her sense of security and well-being, adding another layer of difficulty to Sandra's already challenging situation. Sandra's focus shifted to ensuring that Love felt loved and supported, despite the turbulence in their home life. The course of their family problems was a complex interplay of personal failures, external pressures, and emotional turmoil. The once perfect marriage had become a reflection of deeper issues that had been ignored or underestimated. The challenges they faced were not merely about the affair, but about the underlying factors that had contributed to their relationship's decline. In the midst of the crisis, Sandra's resolve to find clarity and direction became stronger. The process of healing and rebuilding required not only addressing the immediate fallout from the affair, but also understanding the broader dynamics that had led to their separation. Sandra's journey was marked by a search for self-awareness and a commitment to finding a path forward that would allow her to reclaim her sense of identity and purpose. As Sandra confronted the reality of her marriage's collapse, she began to recognize the importance of addressing her own needs and aspirations. The course of the breakup was not just about John's infidelity, but about Sandra's journey towards self-discovery and empowerment. The challenges she faced were a catalyst for personal growth, setting the stage for the next chapter of her life. The news of John's affair shattered Sandra's world like a mirror breaking into 1,000 pieces. What was once a harmonious home, filled with laughter and the joyful energy of their daughter Love, was now an environment of tension and sorrow. The emotional fallout from the betrayal was palpable, and the realization that their marriage could no longer withstand the weight of deceit led to a profound shift in Sandra's life. As the days passed, the atmosphere in the house grew increasingly strained. The love and affection that had once characterized their relationship were replaced by silence and resentment. Conversations between Sandra and John were fraught with underlying bitterness, and the once warm family dinners turned into uncomfortable gatherings, where the only sound was the clinking of cutlery against porcelain. The turning point came one fateful evening, when John made the decision to confront Sandra with the finality of their situation. He had been growing more distant and evasive, and Sandra's attempts to discuss their problems were met with resistance and avoidance. The emotional distance between them had become so great that it seemed almost insurmountable. John's announcement that he wanted Sandra and Love to move out of their home was the culmination of a series of unresolved conflicts and accumulated grievances. His decision was both a practical and emotional blow, signaling the end of their life together as a family. The house, which had once been a symbol of their unity and success, now became a site of painful separation. Sandra was caught off guard by the abruptness of John's decision. She had envisioned a more gradual process of separation, one that would allow for some semblance of closure and dignity. Instead, she found herself facing the harsh reality of being forced out of the home she had cherished and nurtured. The news felt like a second betrayal, adding to the weight of her emotional burden. The process of packing up her belongings was a heart-wrenching experience. Sandra and Love had to sift through the memories that had once made their house a home. Each room held echoes of happier times, family photos, Love's drawings, and the small personal touches that Sandra had lovingly chosen. As she packed away their lives into boxes, Sandra felt a deep sense of loss, not just for the physical space, but for the emotional sanctuary it represented. Love, too, was deeply affected by the upheaval. The transition from their familiar home to an uncertain future was jarring for her. The comfort and stability she had known were being replaced by a sense of displacement and confusion. Sandra tried her best to shield Love from the full extent of the turmoil, but the impact was inevitable. Love's questions and fears about where they would go and why their lives had changed so drastically added to Sandra's emotional strain. John's demeanor during this period was marked by a cold detachment. The practical aspects of the separation, such as dividing assets and arranging for the logistics of moving out, were handled with a clinical efficiency that left Sandra feeling emotionally abandoned. John's focus was on his new life with Ruthie, and Sandra's struggle to manage the separation process felt like a solitary endeavor. The final moments in their home were filled with a mix of sadness and resignation. Sandra and Love left the house with a heavy heart, carrying the remnants of their past life and a few belongings and cherished memories. The home that had once symbolized their happiness now stood as a monument to their fractured relationship. Sandra's next step was to find a new place to live, and her options were limited by the suddenness of the separation. She needed a space that would not only accommodate her and Love, but also provide a sense of stability and comfort amidst the upheaval. It was during this search that Sandra began to confront the reality of her new life. The process was a blend of practical concerns and emotional challenges as she worked to secure a new home while grappling with the pain of leaving the life she had known. Eventually, Sandra found herself at her late parents' house, a place that had been a part of her childhood and a refuge from the complexities of adult life. The house, nestled in a quiet neighborhood, held a sense of familiarity and nostalgia. It was a stark contrast to the bustling city home she had just left, offering a sense of solace and a chance to regroup. The move to her parents' house was both a return to her roots and an opportunity to start anew. Sandra was determined to make the most of this fresh beginning, despite the emotional scars left by the separation. The house, with its memories of her parents and their life together, became a canvas for Sandra to paint a new chapter in her life. As Sandra settled into the new environment, she began to reflect on the journey that had brought her here. The pain of the separation was still raw, but the move also offered a glimmer of hope. The transition from the home of her past to her parents' house symbolized not only the end of one chapter but the beginning of another. Sandra's resolve to navigate this new phase with resilience and determination became a guiding force as she faced the challenges of starting over. In the quiet moments of reflection, Sandra found herself considering the future with a sense of cautious optimism. The path ahead was uncertain, but the strength she drew from her past experiences and her commitment to her daughter gave her the courage to face whatever came next. The process of separation had been a harsh and painful ordeal, but it also set the stage for Sandra's journey towards self-discovery and renewal. Sandra's arrival at her late parents' house was a bittersweet moment. The house stood as a silent witness to the echoes of her childhood, a haven filled with the warmth and love of her parents. Now it was a place of refuge, a canvas for healing and rebuilding. The transition from her former life was jarring, but the familiarity of her parents' home offered a sense of comfort amidst the chaos. As Sandra and Love began unpacking their belongings, the house's tranquil surroundings offered a stark contrast to the turbulence they had left behind. The garden, with its well-tended flower beds and towering oak trees, seemed to embrace them with a sense of continuity. The soft rustling of leaves and the chirping of birds created a soothing backdrop, allowing Sandra to momentarily escape the weight of her recent trials. The interior of the house was a time capsule of sorts. The living room was adorned with vintage furniture and framed family photographs that told the story of her parents' lives. The walls, painted in soft hues of cream and beige, seemed to hold onto the warmth of countless family gatherings. The kitchen, with its traditional wooden cabinets and cozy dining nook, felt like a place where memories had been made and shared. As Sandra explored the house, she stumbled upon a hidden treasure, a small room at the back of the house that had been left untouched for years. The room was filled with old trunks and dusty boxes, remnants of her parents' lives that had been stored away. Curiosity piqued. Sandra carefully opened the trunks, revealing a collection of her parents' possessions, including old letters, photographs, and keepsakes. Among these relics, Sandra discovered a stack of notebooks and sketchbooks, their pages filled with intricate designs and business plans. Her heart skipped a beat as she realized the significance of what she had found. The designs were the work of her mother, a talented fashion designer whose career had been overshadowed by personal sacrifices and unforeseen challenges. Sandra's eyes widened as she examined the sketches. They were breathtaking, elegant gowns with flowing lines, intricate beadwork, and innovative designs that reflected a deep understanding of fashion and artistry. Each sketch was accompanied by detailed notes and ideas for a groundbreaking fashion line that her parents had envisioned but never brought to fruition. The discovery was both exhilarating and overwhelming. Sandra was confronted with the realization that her parents had harbored dreams that were never realized, dreams that now lay dormant in these forgotten pages. The fashion line they had planned was a bold and visionary concept, one that had the potential to make a significant impact in the fashion industry. The designs were not merely artistic expressions. They represented a piece of her parents' legacy, a legacy that Sandra now felt compelled to honor. As she delved deeper into the sketches and notes, Sandra felt a renewed sense of purpose. The task of bringing her parents' vision to life was both a challenge and an opportunity, a chance to transform her own pain and loss into something meaningful and beautiful. The transformation of the old designs into new creations became Sandra's focus. She began by organizing the sketches and plans, cataloging each design with meticulous attention to detail. The process was both a journey into her parents' creative world and an exploration of her own artistic potential. Sandra worked tirelessly, often late into the night, to refine the designs and adapt them to contemporary trends while preserving their original essence. One of the most captivating designs in the collection was a royal regalia, a gown that had been envisioned as a statement piece for high-profile events and ceremonies. The gown was described in the notes as a masterpiece of opulence and elegance, with intricate embroidery, luxurious fabrics, and a silhouette that exuded regal grace. The design was a reflection of her mother's ambition and skill, and Sandra was determined to bring it to life. The process of transforming the royal regalia from a sketch into a tangible garment was a labor of love and dedication. Sandra carefully selected fabrics that would do justice to the original vision: rich silk, sumptuous velvet, and sparkling gemstones. She worked closely with skilled seamstresses and artisans, guiding them through the intricate embroidery and beadwork that were essential to the gown's grandeur. The transformation was a meticulous process. Sandra oversaw every detail, from the selection of fabrics to the execution of the embroidery. The gown's intricate patterns and elaborate embellishments were brought to life with precision and care. Each stitch and sequin was a tribute to her mother's vision, and the gown began to take shape as a stunning reflection of elegance and sophistication. As the gown neared completion, Sandra felt a deep sense of fulfillment and connection to her parents. The process had been both challenging and rewarding, allowing her to channel her grief and determination into a creative endeavor that honored her mother's legacy. The gown, now a symbol of beauty and achievement, represented a new beginning for Sandra, a way to reclaim her sense of purpose and identity. The royal regalia was completed just in time for a special event, a high-profile fashion show where Sandra had the opportunity to showcase her collection. The event was a significant milestone, marking the debut of her parents' fashion line, and the culmination of Sandra's hard work and dedication. As Sandra watched the gown grace the runway, she felt a profound sense of pride and accomplishment. The gown's elegance and beauty captivated the audience, and the positive response from the fashion community was a testament to the success of her endeavor. The event was a celebration not only of her parents' vision, but also of Sandra's resilience and creativity. The discovery of her parents' designs and the transformation of their vision into a reality had been a journey of self-discovery and renewal for Sandra. The process allowed her to honor her parents' legacy while finding new meaning in her own life. The royal regalia, now a symbol of her triumph over adversity, represented a new chapter in Sandra's life, a chapter filled with hope, creativity, and the promise of a brighter future. The fashion show was a resounding success. Sandra's collection, which had been a labor of love and perseverance, received acclaim from critics and fashion enthusiasts alike. The royal regalia, in particular, was hailed as a masterpiece, capturing the essence of elegance and innovation that Sandra's mother had envisioned. The event was not just a triumph of fashion, but also a personal victory for Sandra, a testament to her resilience and creative spirit. As the applause echoed through the venue and Sandra took her final bow, she felt an overwhelming sense of accomplishment and closure. The journey from the pain of separation to the fulfillment of her parents' dream had been arduous, but the reward was deeply satisfying. The success of the fashion show marked a new chapter in Sandra's life, one that was defined by her own strength and creativity. In the aftermath of the event, Sandra received numerous invitations for interviews, collaborations, and opportunities to showcase her designs. The recognition she garnered was a reflection of her talent and hard work, but it also served as a reminder of the painful path she had traversed to reach this point. The accolades and praise were a bittersweet affirmation of her journey, reminding her of both the losses and gains she had experienced. Despite the success, Sandra found herself grappling with lingering emotions from her past. The process of healing was ongoing, and she knew that part of moving forward involved addressing the unresolved feelings she had towards John. Their relationship, though fractured, had once been a significant part of her life, and finding closure was essential to her emotional well-being. Sandra decided to reach out to John, seeking a conversation that would allow them to address their past and find a way to move forward separately. The meeting was set in a neutral location, a quiet cafe where they could talk without the constraints of their previous home. Sandra approached the conversation with a mix of apprehension and resolve, understanding that the dialogue was necessary for her personal growth. John arrived at the cafe with a demeanor of guarded politeness. The years of shared history between them were evident in the way they interacted, even if their relationship had been marred by betrayal. Sandra greeted him with a calm composure, determined to maintain a focus on the present and the future rather than dwelling on past grievances. The conversation began with a discussion of their daughter, Love. Sandra and John talked about their plans for her future and the importance of ensuring that she felt supported and loved despite the changes in their family dynamic. Their shared commitment to Love's well-being provided a common ground for their discussion, allowing them to navigate the conversation with a sense of mutual respect. As the conversation shifted to their past, Sandra spoke candidly about the impact of John's actions on her life and the emotional turmoil she had endured. She expressed her feelings with honesty, acknowledging the pain and hurt while also conveying her desire to move forward. John listened attentively, his expression reflecting a mix of remorse and reflection. The dialogue was challenging, as it forced both Sandra and John to confront the reality of their past actions and decisions. John offered a heartfelt apology, acknowledging his mistakes and expressing regret for the way their relationship had ended. His apology was a step towards reconciliation, but Sandra understood that forgiveness was a process that required time and introspection. Sandra's response was measured and thoughtful. She acknowledged John's apology and expressed her own journey towards forgiveness. The conversation was not about absolving John of his actions, but about finding a way to release the burden of resentment that had weighed heavily on her. Sandra's focus was on her own healing and the importance of moving forward with a sense of peace. The meeting concluded with a sense of mutual understanding and a commitment to co-parenting love with respect and consideration. Sandra and John parted ways with a renewed sense of closure, recognizing that their paths had diverged, but that their shared responsibility as parents would remain a guiding force. Returning to her new life, Sandra felt a sense of liberation and renewal. The success of her fashion line and the resolution of her past grievances allowed her to embrace the future with optimism and confidence. The journey from the heartbreak of her separation to the triumph of her career had been transformative, reshaping her sense of self and purpose. Sandra's new chapter was marked by a focus on her career, personal growth, and the well-being of her daughter. She continued to build her fashion brand, drawing inspiration from her parents' legacy and her own experiences. The designs she created were not just reflections of her artistic vision, but also expressions of her resilience and determination. As she looked forward to the future, Sandra embraced the possibilities that lay ahead. The pain of the past had been a catalyst for growth and self-discovery, leading her to a place of strength and clarity. The success of her fashion line was a testament to her ability to transform adversity into opportunity, and the journey had given her a renewed sense of purpose. Sandra's story was one of overcoming challenges, finding redemption, and embracing the promise of a new beginning. The process of moving on from her past had been a journey of profound transformation, and she emerged from it with a deeper understanding of herself and her aspirations. As she continued to navigate her life and career, Sandra carried with her the lessons learned and the legacy of her parents' dreams, shaping a future that was both hopeful and inspiring.